what, baby? Hey guys, meet baby Luke. Baby Luke was born at 38 weeks. I have a lot to tell you guys. First, let me put him down. But totally unexpected. You know, I vlogged about my whole I vlogged about the whole process from the minute I got in the car till we were on our way to the hospital. So I'll be making a video of like our whole birth story, but I gotta tell you how Luke came into the world. So let's see, hopefully he'll cooperate through this whole video. But I gotta start off by saying how in love I am. This precious baby, like, I can't get enough of him. I just want to smell his neck and his skin, and I just love breastfeeding. I couldn't wait. That was like one of the first things I wanted to do, was breastfeed him when I saw him come out. So this C-section experience was totally different than my first one. It was actually a lot better and just so much more bonding time with the baby. But before I get into that, I just want to tell you how it all came to be. So I was 38 weeks pregnant. I went to church by myself because my husband was working. And I woke up that morning, I was having like a lot of contractions. I had to go to an early morning leadership meeting. So I like packed Liam's clothes, brought him in his pajamas because I did not want to have to fuss with getting him dressed. So that morning was just like kind of difficult, waking up early, having to hold him because he was being so needy in the morning. And by the time we got around to like our last meeting at church, I was feeling a lot of contractions, and I'm just like, oh, why am I here? I should be in my bed right now. So I decide finally to leave church about 30 minutes early, and I go take Liam out of his little nursery class where he's at, and he was crying and fussing, I don't want to go home. So he was just like crying a lot, and I had to hold him, but I was in pain. Luckily, there was someone in the hallway that saw me, and it was a guy, and he was like, do you want me to help you take Liam to the car? I'm like, if he'll go to you. Luckily, Liam went to him, and we start walking. Right as we get to the foyer, to the doors to go out to my car, I felt a gush, and I was like, I'll be right back. So I kind of like waddle my way to the bathroom, like, oh my gosh, I've never felt that before. Go into the bathroom, and my panties were all wet. Now earlier the day before, I passed my mucus plug, so my husband was like, watch out, you know, you could be, I don't know if you're gonna make it till next week. I'm like, oh no, my mom's not here. And that was like one of the first things that I was like so scared. I'm in the bathroom, my panties are wet, my husband's at work, my mom's not here yet, and I'm just freaking out. I'm there by myself, like I've never had my water break, and I'm just like crying, and I'm calling my husband. So I'm like, babe, there's liquid on my panties. He's like, is it a lot? I'm like, I mean, so I'm like describing all this stuff, and he's like, why are you crying? I'm like, because you're not here. If I'm gonna go into labor, my mom's not here, and blah. I was just like totally emotional. So in walk two other, you know, ladies, and they come in, and I'm telling them what's going on, and they're like, yeah, their water had never broken, so they were no help. Finally, thank goodness, my friend Amy walks in, who's a doula, and she's like, no, your panties are wet, it's clear, your water broke, we're taking you to the hospital. Because at that point I was still kind of in denial, and I'm like, maybe it wasn't my water, maybe, you know, I was just totally in denial and panicking. Like, I was there by myself, but I mean, I couldn't have been in a better place. Being at church right away, someone's like, I'll take Liam. They walked out, got the car seat, took care of him, and we were off to the hospital. So because I wasn't in pain, it was funny, someone had given me I had like two size 1 and size 2 diapers, and those were my pads, and the liquid kept coming out. So it wasn't like constant, but it's like I would just be okay, normal, and then all of a sudden I'd be like, oh, I feel a gush, I feel a gush. So by the time we left the church, I had already, like, I felt like one full diaper was full. So we decided, because I wasn't in labor and kind of in pain, my pain had kind of gone away at that point, we decided to stop by my house and get my hospital bag. So funny thing about the hospital bag was that I was coming home from church. That was going to be the thing I was going to do. Yeah, so I had printed up, luckily I had printed up a checklist, and so then when we got to my house, I was just able to be like, robe, this, that, and we literally packed my hospital bag in like 5 minutes. It was super fast. So boom, we head out to the hospital. This is where the craziness begins. So they quickly admit me. I tell them I think my water broke. So this lady does, so the nurse, very nice nurse, comes in and she puts like this little strip down there, and she's like, it's inconclusive. So I got my mom on the phone like, do I fly out And then my husband's like, do I leave work? I'm like, I don't know. They can't tell me if my water broke or not. So in a way, again, still in denial because I hadn't received the confirmation 100% that my water had in fact broken. So she's like, oh, it's inconclusive. I'll come back in like 10 minutes and do it again. So as she leaves, I was sitting there. I'm like, oh my gosh, another gush, another gush. And you guys, honestly, I was so happy to be there with Amy, who was a doula, because even if I was there with one of my close friends, like, I don't know if I would have felt so comfortable. Like at one point I'm like, Amy, come look between my legs, tell me what's coming out, because the nurse is telling me she thinks it's mucus or discharge, and I'm like, there is no way. So me and Amy totally bonded. I just had to like not care, and she's like, oh yeah, you got a puddle there. So we call the nurse and she does another test and she's like, yeah, it looks like it's urine. I had just come from peeing, so I'm like, there's no way that's urine. Like, this is a puddle. And she's like, oh, I don't know, let me call the doctor. So total confusion. Again, mom's on the phone, do I book a different flight? James is like, do I leave work? I'm like, I don't know. So crazy that I'm here in the maternity ward and they're telling me like, we don't know if it was your water. So finally she comes back in. She's like, look, I spoke to the doctor and we're just gonna send you home and just get dressed and go to his office at 8 in the morning tomorrow. And I was like looking at Amy and we're like, okay, but this is really weird. Like, what the heck else is dripping down my leg? So I'm like, fine. In a way, I was like kind of more at peace because I'm like, okay, good. That means I'm not going into labor. My mom could fly out. James could finish working, like everything's gonna be fine. I'm not having this baby right now. So I go into the bathroom, put all of my clothes on, and as I'm getting dressed, a gush comes down my leg, like drips down my leg. And I'm like, there is no way this is not my water. What else is dripping down my legs? So Amy calls the nurse and she's like, look, she has drips, stuff dripping down her leg. And the nurse again is like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Okay. Next thing you know, you guys, a team walks in, they're bringing in my IV, they're telling me you're going in to have a C-section. Your doctor will be here in 30 minutes. They already contacted your husband, like you're having this baby now. So I was like totally in shock again, like just thinking, oh my gosh, my mom's not here. But then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have this baby. Because up until that point, I was like just in denial. And so next thing you know, my husband's there, my doctor shows up, which is another funny thing because my doctor had told me that it was his day off, and the on-call doctor, who I happen to know, she was a resident with my husband last year, and she's really good and really friendly, and I was happy it was her, but I was kind of like bummed. I'm like, my doctor has got to deliver my baby. So I sent him a text message, which he's always said he delivers all of his patients, just call him. But I was just wondering, like, the nurse hadn't mentioned anything about my doctor coming in, so I'm like, maybe he changed his policy, I don't know. But I sent him a text anyways, and I was like, I will be crushed if you don't deliver my baby. You have to be here. So he text messages me back and says, I'm not missing this birthday party for anything, see you in 30 minutes. So my doctor shows up and he was just ready to go, and next thing you know, you guys, I'm in a wheelchair and I'm being taken back to the OR, like just like that. I'm like texting my family, going home, and the next thing, I'm having this baby. So it's just so crazy. As I was going back in the wheelchair, reality hit me and I just started crying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have this baby a week early. It's totally like out of the blue, unexpected, and it just happened so fast. So I walk into the OR, the lights are so bright. It's like this stark white room, and there's all these people, assistants, anesthesiologists, nurses, and I'm like, oh, they're all here for me. My doctor's there. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, you will see in the footage, I was just freaking out because I'm like, oh my gosh, last thing I thought was gonna happen. I'm like, okay, I still have a week before I have my baby, and here I am in the OR, and it's gonna happen. So I have the baby, like they prep me, I have the baby. Let me not skip on the story, but so they prep me, they do my epidural, everything was smooth. I'm laying down crucified. They have the curtain there, and you're just laying like this. And you know, that you start feeling tugging and pulling, the epidural kicks in like that. My husband was there with me. It was the most beautiful experience because you could hear the baby crying, and sorry. Once I heard the baby cry, I just was like, oh, I want to see my baby. So this time James brought him around. They like cleaned him up, and The next thing, I see my husband carrying the baby all like bundled up, and he put him on my chest and I got to smell him. Sorry. So beautiful, so beautiful. Just to boom, like 1 second to the next, I'm bringing life into this world, and I instantly just loved him. Now I'm gonna look a mess the rest of this video, but they take me back to recovery to my room, and I got to hold my baby the whole way there. I didn't get to do that with Liam. So I held him the whole way, still drugged up, but I was very alert. Like I was even singing while they were doing my C-section. It was crazy. I was very alert, and I'm just holding my baby. And then they did all of the cleaning and everything in my room. So he was right there with me. They weighed him, did all that. And then next thing you know, they just brought the baby to me, and it was so beautiful, so beautiful. I will talk more about my C-section, the recovery, but I just wanted to tell you that is like the initial birth story. I'm so in love. Liam did not want anything to do with me that first day in the hospital, or the baby. He didn't. And then my husband took him home that evening, and my mom flew in. My mom was there by 10:45 at night. He picked her up. So mom spent the night with me. She changed her flight. She was there to spend the night with me. James took Liam home, and on the way home he told James, "Mommy has an owie." And I think he was just scared that I had the IV, and he just didn't know how to process it all, and just brother, that was a whole nother thing. But everything evolved and became more beautiful, and they bonded, and it was really beautiful. But like I said, I'm editing our whole birth story, so hopefully I'll be able to share that with you guys. But that is the initial birth story, and I just want to thank you guys for following me and being so supportive and coming through. I can't believe it happened so fast. But you were with me all throughout the 38 weeks. Can you believe it? Some of you joined me later, and I'm so happy for that. So now the journey is just going to continue on. I'm going to be sharing, like I got a few more videos that I'm going to be filming, and I'm going to be sharing this whole new chapter of my life with you guys. So I just want to thank you for joining me. And if you want inside pictures on just like my family life and just personal things, join me on Instagram. That's where I'm posting daily pictures. I don't want to put too much on the cupcakes page, because you know that is my business page, but still all about me, but don't want to put too much there. So follow me on Instagram at Lily Cupcake, and I'll see you guys later in the next video. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for weekly videos on my new life as a mother of two, and look me up on Instagram at Lily Cupcake.